And a very good Saturday morning to you. It is Drivetime Radio here on 1150 KKNW, New York City, sitting in with you, hanging out with you on a Saturday morning as we take a walk through the automotive landscape, the automotive lifestyle, as we look at cars and the people that move them around. Yes, that's what we do here on Saturday morning, and we try to have fun doing it. So hopefully you and everybody else will be able to enjoy the next hour. Call your friends, call the kids, gather them around the radio, and tell them that for the next hour or so, we are going to have some automotive fun. It'll be the most fun you can have since you played license plate bingo in the backseat of your car when you were, I don't know, 9 years old. Remember the license plate bingo? You used to have the card, and you would look at cards, license plates from different states. By the way, on the subject of license plates, might I just add in here that I think that one of the worst things that's happened to this country, to the automotive lifestyle, is the boring up of license plates. Now, in recent years, they've kind of come back from it a little bit, but there was a time when every license plate from every state looked the same. Now I remember when we were kids, when things when everything was perfect in the world. Yeah, right. That license plates from each state were very distinctive. As a matter of fact, I remember Alaska license plates that were shaped like a bear. Now you have different types of license plates. You have sports team logos and so on and so forth. But there's a uniqueness or a sameness. There's actually a sameness about all of these license plates if you don't buy the special license plate that looks the same. I saw a New York plate. Now, New York plates always had New York colors on them, except for a time in the 80s when we were all confused and they made white New York license plates with red on them. I don't know who got that idea, but they changed that back to the state colors, which are orange and blue. Now I saw a New York license plate the other day, and it's white with yellow on it. It looked like puke. So I know it's a small thing, but you know what? It's something that if you're a young kid today and you're playing license plate bingo sitting in the back seat of your father's Tesla or your mother's BMW, by all means, you are perplexed. Was that California or was that Colorado? Was that North Dakota, South Dakota, North Carolina, South Carolina? What was it? I didn't see it. We need to bring back those state-colored license plates with the mottos on them. Every state, you could tell every state because almost every state had a motto on it. The state motto, like in New York, it's Excelsior, ever upward. In California, I don't know if they had them on the California plates, actually. Their state motto is Eureka. I've been watching a little too many Three Stooges lately because when I said Eureka, I immediately thought, Eureka of what? Oh, Vinnie, sometimes you crack yourself up doing this show. Anyway, we got a good show planned for you this morning. We're going to jump into street racing a little bit and talk about what's going on as far right now as street racing. And there is a lot going on with what many perceive to be a problem, and I think it is a problem in this area. There is, look, kids get cars and they immediately want to make them go faster. No matter what car you get, 99% of the boys that get a car, the first thing that they do is they head on over to the I was going to say hobby shop, but it's not the hobby shop, the speed shop or the auto accessory place, and they get something that'll either make the car go faster or look like it's going faster. wheels, better tires, all different types of things. And these things have been developed over the past years. Now, when I was a kid, and I use that phrase a lot, but let's just say previously, in an earlier time, you went to a speed shop and you bought things like chrome valve covers. And then as you started to learn more about your car, or you had a friend that knew a lot about cars, or a friend that worked at a gas station or something like that, you want in a little bit more. Maybe you bought a better cam for the car. Maybe you bought a different lifters for the car. Maybe you bought a whole entire different motor out of a Cadillac or out of a racing car or something like that, a higher horsepower motor. Well, cars today come with a lot of horsepower. Cars today come with much better developed engines than we had back in the 60s and the 70s. And so these cars already go fast when the kids get into them. And naturally, when cars go fast, the natural inclination with male hormones is to see which car goes faster. It's pretty much like prostitution. You're not going to stop it. It's not going to stop. The best thing you can do without too much of a problem in not violating somebody's civil rights or something is either to catch the kids that are racing, write them up, confiscate their cars, and go through that process. And in these days of not being able to have enough police around to protect the citizens and chase after drag racers, the street racers, kind of get away with a lot more than they did when I was a younger man. Although we had sense enough when I was young to find a place to race that was out of the way and that actually protected people. We raced at a place called the Connecting Highway. And it was a highway that had that was cut into the ground. So you stood, as a matter of fact, I have somewhere here, I'm going to try to find it for you, a picture of the Connecting Highway, of me actually driving on it. And the whole thing with the Connecting Highway was you could get, and we used on a Friday and Saturday night, you'd get 5, 6, 7, 8, 10,000 people would show up to watch the races. But the people that were watching the races were, I don't know, 4 stories above where the highway was. So if there was an accident, usually the only person that got hurt was the person either driving the car or in the other car or something along those lines. Very rarely was there an accident where people that weren't participating in the race got hurt. Now, I'm not advocating that we do that, but what I am saying is we need to think this out a little bit because it's not going to stop. They did all kinds of things to try to stop us from gathering when we were kids. They watered down the highway, which usually stopped things. But the only thing is that the racing moved to another spot, another less safe spot. There's where you got into. There was another place called Laurel Hill Boulevard where people used to race. And that was under a highway with 2 cemeteries, a cemetery on each side. So you would go down this long straight strip on Laurel Hill Boulevard in Queens, and you would race down there. But the poles for the highway that supported the elevated highway were right on the side. And many, many times people were killed or injured by losing control of their cars and hitting those poles. Some terrible accidents on Laurel Hill Boulevard that involved both the racers and the people that were gathered to watch them. I know that in Southern California many years ago, the police and the local auto club, the Southern California Auto Club, I think it was them. I'm not sure it was the auto club. Maybe it was the local SCCA or something like that. Opened up the drag strip at night. That they had quite a few drag strips down there, and did grudge matches. Run what you brung. I think the solution here is twofold. Number one, I don't disagree with the putting the speed cameras on these most likely spots where this racing occurs. There's a list of intersections, a list of streets in the city, 10 of them around Seattle, where the city council has voted to install cameras. Now, that's all well and good, except that when you do that, the only thing that's going to happen is they're either going to put fake license plates over their cars, or put the screens on them so you can't see the license plates, or there'll be somebody will come up with a way to not identify the cars. It's the way it goes. It becomes a game, and the kids today are smart. They know how to circumvent these systems. By the way, the 10 intersections that they will be installed will be Alki between 63rd and Harbor between Alki and Spokane, West Marginal between Spokane and 2nd Avenue Southwest, Sandpoint Way between 38th and 95th, 65th between Sandpoint and Magnuson Park, inside Magnuson Park, Seaview between Golden Gardens and 34th Avenue. That's a hot spot up there. 3rd Avenue Northwest between Leary Way and 145th. I didn't know about that one. Martin Luther King between South Massachusetts and South Henderson, and Rainier Avenue between South Jackson to the city limits. Tammy Morales, one of the council members, said that in her district, MLK and Rainier are the two most dangerous. 270 crashes over last year. And I take exception with something that Tammy Morales said here. She's quoted as saying, until we start to prioritize the lives of residents over speed and the ease of motor vehicles, until we truly make a concerted effort to redesign our streets, enforcement is what we have. I don't agree with that. I would say that it would be much better if the city council and the police department got together. There's a laugh. If the city council and the police department and some group of volunteers, some people got together and treated this as a sport. You have lots of room out at Magnuson Park. There's runways out there. Things that pieces of street that used to be runways. Why not set those up and give these kids a chance to blow off some steam? Because they're going to do it anyway. It's the same thing as prostitution. You drive up on Aurora Avenue, and for years they've been trying to get the ladies of the night off of Aurora Avenue. But they can't do it. You move them to one block, they go to another block. You go to another block, they move them to another block. Well, it's the same thing with street racing. You move them one place, you wire up a place with cameras, they're going to go find someplace else. So why not think out of the box? Why not go back to the 50s and try to regulate it so that instead of a kid losing their car and somebody getting hurt, there can be a system where kids could go and gather and watch each other race. I don't know. Maybe Pacific Raceways could open up at night, open up until 2 or 3 in the morning. I don't know. I don't know what the people that live around there think about it. Magnuson Park seems to be one of the places that I looked at and said, "Boy, you could put this here, and it's not near anybody's house." You know, there's some houses obviously off of Sandpoint Way, but it's not directly at somebody's house. And you could regulate it. You could have volunteer parents involved in it, and maybe let these kids blow off a little steam with less of a chance of people getting hurt. I think, again, I'm not for breaking the law, but I understand how this law gets broken. I understand the psychology of a street racer because many, many, many years ago, I was one. And if you don't fix this problem, and I'm here to tell you, I don't think, I may be wrong. I don't know everything in the world, but I'm going to tell you that the only thing that's going to happen is the kids are going to find a road in Snohomish County. They're going to go down to Pierce County. They're going to go somewhere else because having a car is, if people don't understand it, is a status symbol at that age. You come over here, you go over here by Dick's, by where I live in Edmonds, and you go there on a Friday night or a Saturday night, and you're gonna you're gonna see an unbelievable amount of kids and cars that camp out there, hang out with each other, and try to listen. It's where the cool kids hang out, and they gather and they sit around, they look at each other's cars, they talk about each other's cars, and and then what eventually happens is somebody says, "Well, let's see whose car can go fast," and they go out on Aurora Avenue on Highway 99, and they start racing. And I haven't heard of any serious collisions up there lately, but I guarantee you that there's been some. There's no doubt in my mind that there has been some. And so again, I think the only way that you can do something about this that is going to um, help the problem along is to explore. Some city council person, some county council person is going to have the nerve to do this because it's not going to be popular. It wasn't popular back then, and it's not going to be popular now. But my father used to be part of a group that explored trying to use Flushing Airport for a drag strip to get these kids off the street. And I don't know what the city council Tuesday, as I said, it's the speed camera ordinance has passed with the city council, passed on I think July 25th, and it's going to cost the city a lot of money. You're still going to have to enforce it, and you're still going to have to get have a squad of cops that are going to go out and have to impound these cars, confiscate these cars, so on and so forth. So I mean, again, I don't know what the final solution is, but I know that just putting these cameras up is not going to stop the street racing. It's only going to move it somewhere. So the people that live along Alki may have a quieter time, but somebody that's up on Charleston or some similar street like that where there's a long stretch of straight, they are gonna pay the price. And it's again, why not turn this into a positive if you can? Why not try to turn this into something that will benefit these kids, give them something to hang on to? I mean, I know I know it sounds crazy letting them speed, letting them do this, but if you do it and you can make it attractive to them, maybe maybe you can get them interested in it. It's an idea, and you need ideas. Whether it's a good idea, bad idea, I don't know. But you need ideas to stop this because people are getting hurt. Innocent people are getting killed and hurt because of this. It can't continue to happen on Aurora, and it can't continue to happen on Alki, and it can't continue to happen on West Marginal. It can't continue to happen on Martin Luther King Jr. Way. I mean, as you know, that one of these kids is going to wind up in somebody's bedroom. So, if you're in Seattle, contact your city council person and ask them, what can they do? What can we do? Is there anything we can do besides just putting cameras up? Again, I think the cameras are a good idea. I think the cameras are a smart idea, but it's not going to stop it. It's only going to move it. You go down to the industrial districts out down by IKEA in Kent on a Friday or Saturday night, and they're all racing down there. It's a popular sport right now. It leans in and out in popularity, but with Detroit and others, and let's face it, all manufacturers putting out 600 horsepower cars, this type of power, this type of speed is more accessible to our kids than ever. And listen, don't get me wrong. I think that to get one of these cars, to operate one of these cars, you should have a special license that shows that you have the capacity to operate that vehicle, that you know what to do in case of an emergency, that you know how to handle that type of horsepower. I mean, if you're a parent going out and buying your kid a 700 horsepower Dodge Challenger, is maybe not the swiftest idea in the world. And, I'd like to say, well, it's the parent's responsibility. But listen, we know what happens. The parents at times can not be responsible. The parents at times don't pay attention to what their kids are doing or what their cars are like. And in case you think it's going to go away, well, we'll have electric cars. The electric cars are faster in many ways in a drag race than are the combustion engine cars. The only difference is the electric cars are quieter. But make no mistake about it. You have a situation here, and you can't just put cameras up and expect that it's going to go away, because it's not going to go away. It's only going to go onto somebody else's neighborhood or onto somebody else's property, unless you figure out a way to provide these kids a safe place to do this. So that's my spiel for this morning on that. I think it's important. I think we're in the middle of, and again, um, I go to places and marvel at some of the cars that these kids put together out of cars that I never thought would be able to go fast. And they put a lot of pride and a lot of work into these cars. For some of these kids, it's their only outlet. It's that there's a lot of craftsmanship, a lot of workmanship, a lot of time spent putting these cars together. Money too. And again, I think it's got to be something where the people that are running things here are a little bit more cognizant of what's going on. What the heart of the matter is, you don't just say we're going to stop it. You have to say we're going to stop it, but we're also going to explore a way to do something about it that will be beneficial to people before more people get hurt. So that's my spiel for this morning. I know that I know you love to hear me spiel, so that's my spiel. Let's figure out a way to help this problem, not just by putting cameras up, by also taking out the incentive to race on the street, to move it off the street and onto a place where these kids can do it without hurting themselves or hurting each other. Okay? All right. It is Drivetime Radio. I'm New York Vinnie. We are on KKNW 1150. In case you are new, we also broadcast on the internet. We're on YouTube. We are on Facebook. We're on anybody to let us broadcast. We're on them. we got to be. All right, let's bring in Nathan. I know I've been talking a lot here this morning, so let me bring in Nathan and see what Nathan has to offer us this morning in the way of his astute observation. Nathan, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Vinny. Little bit of a slowpoke this morning, but finally here.
Well, we got you in. That's the main thing. We got you in, and traffic is a mess out there, huh?
At least on 405 northbound going north between around Renton Landing to Newcastle, it is just a complete standstill, basically.
Well, I was gone last weekend, but I understand the traffic was unbelievable last weekend as well with the Taylor Swift concert and the ball games and everything else that was going on. So, it's that summer. It's road fixing season, man.
That it is, and they got 2 lanes closed on 405, so reduced to only 1 lane right now.
Yeah, that's so avoid that if you possibly
Not
can.
good. Take Coal Creek Parkway or something.
Go as far as you can the other way.
Yeah.
To try to miss that. I know I'm going to go out later, and I'm not looking forward to that. By the way, I didn't mention, if you're looking for something to do this morning, go see my friends at Shoreline Cars and Coffee over there on Westminster, right by the Town and Country Market. They should be out in pretty good numbers this morning, even though it's gray over here. They turn out in the middle of winter. And if you want to see some fine cars and you want to talk to people about cars and the collector car sport, I know my friend Lance Lambert is down there or goes down there. I don't know if he's down there this particular morning, but people that are into the automotive, if you want to find kindred spirits that are into the automotive lifestyle and also get yourself a free cup of coffee, and sometimes somebody even shows up with a dozen donuts or something, head on over to Shoreline Cars and Coffee. It's a great thing. You can find them on Facebook. And tell all my friends over there I said hello. Nathan, how was your week? Okay?
Yeah, my week was good. A busy one, too, but okay. I like being busy. It keeps me going. Keeps me
There you
sane.
go. You're not a street racer, are you, Nathan? You don't take that car of yours and go drag racing out on the boulevards and avenues of our fair city, do you?
Oh, thankfully not.
Okay. Do you watch it at all? I mean, do you go and gather where? Uh,
Nope. Cars are
okay.
meant for transportation, not racing, in my opinion.
Oh, Nathan, you pain me when you say that.
I mean, there are
Yeah.
racing cars that are meant for the track.
Yeah, obviously. But so, do you have friends that race,
No,
or
I don't think
no?
so.
Okay. Because I mean, obviously, you go by a Dick's or a drive-in or a bunch, different places, and they're out on a Friday, Saturday night. I drove through Dick's over here last night, and there was 150, 200 cars there with
Yeah, it's
sitting
definitely a
around. And,
culture.
yeah, it's definitely a piece of culture that and with the cameras, I don't know how that's going to work. I think it'll work out okay for a little bit, but kids are going to figure out a way to circumvent those things, either blocking their license plates or something. So,
I was gonna say they always got those uh, radar detectors that can tell you if there's a lidar ahead, or they can like tint their license plate so it doesn't quite get caught by cameras.
there's ways to get through those, and I don't want the city council to throw away a bunch of money on cameras if they're not going to work. But the other side of the coin is you have to try to do something about the problem, because people are getting hurt out there. But again, the people that get hurt a lot of times are the idiots that with any group of people you have idiots. The other morning, I think on I-5 there were two white BMWs racing at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Hmm.
I mean, how freaking stupid do you have to be racing each other at 8 o'clock in the morning?
Are you talking about a weekday morning?
A weekday morning, yeah.
So that's right in rush hour.
Yeah, pretty stupid, if you ask me. So, anyway, all right, what do we, let's see, I'm sure that there's a question that you want to ask me, Nathan, that
I mean,
really
that's the
comes
whole
up every
reason
week.
why I fought through traffic on 405 to be here, was just to ask you, yo, Vinny, what are you driving this week?
There you go, Nathan. Look at that. Nathan's my man. My man Nathan is true to the show, man. He's the biggest reason the show continues, I think, sometimes.
All right, now time to go back on 405 and get stuck in traffic again. I've
Yeah,
asked
go
the
get stuck.
question.
As my father used to tell me, go play in traffic, kid. Uh, all right, this week we're driving the 2022 Hyundai Santa Fe plug-in hybrid. This is an interesting car. It is a car that if you do most of your driving, now, first of all, the Santa Fe is Hyundai's uh, SUV, midsize SUV. It's a great car. I have a couple of relatives that have bought them, and they love them. They're roomy inside. Matter of fact, I think the Santa Fe might be the roomiest car in its class inside. The excuse me, the design of the car is easy on the eyes. As a matter of fact, if you have seen the design of the new Santa Fe that's coming out, I think that's the car that everybody is going to go nuts over. It really is a sharp looking, looks nothing like the old Santa Fe. The Hyundai is bringing back the days where when a new car showed up, it looked different than the other cars. Maybe that'll work. Maybe it won't, but it's going to be fun to watch. Anyway, the Santa Fe plug-in hybrid is just that. You have an electric motor, you have a gasoline motor. Where the electric motor does you really well is the the ability to drive around town on electric. I think the range is 40 miles, 40 to 50 miles on electric, and the most of your trips that you're going to take around town are, under that mileage. If you're going down to the store, going down to the mall, this will get you there electrically. And then when you come back home, you plug it in, you charge it up, and you take your small trips. But if you have to take a longer trip, there's also a gasoline engine in the car as well, so that it will take you wherever you want to go without fear of not being able to find a charging spot. Hyundai does this extremely well in this car. The transition from electric to gasoline is seamless. It's programmed to feel when you are driving, which need you have better. When you go on a highway, obviously, when you hit the gas to a certain level, it switches into gasoline and it drives along. Not the quickest car in the world so far, I got to tell you. It's got some bump when you're getting on the highway or driving around town on electric. It has that that electric um, off the line torque that type of motor delivers. It has several different speeds, including a lock to distribute the power evenly to the front and the rear of the vehicle. It is well done, well appointed, lots of goodies in the interior of the car, including push button transmission. Maybe the best telephone charger in any car I've seen so far since they've been putting wireless chargers in cars. Hyundai really hits it with this one. You slide the phone into the charger, so it's not sliding around all over the place or moving around all over the place. And it really works spectacularly, I think. And lots of places to put stuff, lots of cubby holes, a great dashboard little shelf where you can put stuff on there, and things like gloves, soft items. Obviously, you don't want to put anything hard on there, but soft items, and know exactly where they are when you need them. It gets so far uh, I don't have the number on the mileage. I haven't done the mileage yet. It has a small gas tank, one of the drawbacks on this vehicle, just a 12.4 gallon tank. If you are going to do a lot of long distance commuting or um, road tripping in this car, this might not be the car for you. But if you are looking for a car that's going to get you around town, if most of your trips are going to pick up the kids, running around to the local stores and stuff like that, this is really a vehicle that bears looking at, except for one thing. There is a 2024 version of the Santa Fe that's coming out that I think is spectacular. And if you can wait for that, and who knows how long it's going to be until they get the plug-in hybrid version of that out. But if you can wait for that boxy Land Rover-like looking SUV, the new Santa Fe, you're going to see something that's very unique and very different from anything you see on the road. We talked about it a little bit last week, and it is just a vehicle that is so it might be worth jumping on the internet and searching out the 2024 Santa Fe and looking at that and seeing, do I want to wait for that or do I want to buy a Santa Fe now? The base price on this car is $46,585 with the options and everything. I think it runs it a little bit north of 50. It's got a 76 mpge gas and electric, and it has 31 miles of electric range. Although if you drive with a light foot, you can probably stretch that out a little bit. Fully charged and not using the air conditioning and stuff like that. Luckily, we haven't had to use the air conditioning. So that is our Yo Vinnie, what are you driving this week? If you see me driving this thing around, by all means, stop by and say hi, and we'll give you a tour of the car and, get you as familiar with it as I am. All right, time now for our Saturday morning cartoon. It's a little piece of music brought to you every Saturday morning so that you can have the car culture and the music culture kind of come together and meet. This time we have one from a guy that is a legendary country singer and also a legendary race car driver. Yes, this man has driven NASCAR. He's driven race cars. He knew what it was like to live that lifestyle. And so, of course, the late, great Marty Robbins wrote a song about it. And here he is, Marty Robbins, on our Saturday morning cartoon.
Driving a race car is my way of making a living. My way of putting the bread on a table at home. I'm getting back about half as much as I'm given. And I couldn't make it without a good woman at home. First place could be just a dream, I'm gonna chase it. Finishing out of the top 10 is nothing but bad. And a junker won't ever be first, I might as well face it. First class equipment is something a man's got to have. You might even call me a 20th century drifter. 32 weekends I load up the car and I'm gone. And my woman cries with each goodbye kiss that I give her. And she prays that come Monday morning I'll be drifting home. Where my woman sleeps in my arms and I lie here thinking. Half awake, half asleep, I run then rerun the race. From dark until dawn it goes on, my half-awake dreaming. And ever so often I dream that I'm taking first place. But it's gotta be more than a dream, dreaming won't make it. Or dreaming won't ever put bread on a table at home. And racing runs deep in my veins, I'll never shake it. I'm tied to it just like I'm tied to the woman at home. You might even call me a 20th century drifter. 32 weekends I load up the car and I'm gone. And my woman cries with each goodbye kiss that I give her. And she prays that Monday morning I'll be drifting home.
There you go, Marty Robbins, the late, great Marty Robbins here on the Saturday morning cartoon. But Marty Robbins, you may remember the song El Paso and A White Sport Coat and A Pink Carnation and many, many hits. Marty had a ton of hits in the 50s and the 60s and into the 70s. But Marty also drove in NASCAR. He was a somewhat successful NASCAR driver. Matter of fact, he had a top 5 finish in the 1974 Motor State 360 in Michigan. Ran mostly Plymouths, Dodgers, or Fords. Wound up, his last car was an 81 Buick Regal that he rented. He always had a magenta and yellow car, number 42. And he was honest guy, very honest guy. A lot of people credited him with saving Richard Childress's life at the 1974 Charlotte 500 by crashing into a wall rather than T-boning Childress's car that was stopped across the track. So, Marty not only sang the song and walked the walk, but he also drove the drive. I don't know. But anyway, the late, great Marty Robbins, always one of my favorites. Matter of fact, Marty and I are completely intertwined musically, as when I was a contestant many years ago on Name That Tune. Remember that TV show, Name That Tune? I was a contestant on that, and one of the first songs, I don't know if it was the first one I was asked, but one of the first songs that I got right was a white sport coat and a pink carnation. Although I screwed up the answer a little bit, but they gave it to me. They gave me white sport coat. They got that I got it, so they gave it to me. And that one of the great experiences of my life, being on Name That Tune. That was a ton of fun. A ton of fun. So Marty Robbins, you don't see people like that much anymore that have that kind of dual career where they race. It's less and less, I think. I know you had people like Paul Newman that did it, and Marty Robbins, and there's been a few others that have done it, but for the most part, people kind of stick to their excuse me, stick to their to their regular vocation. So I wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about another piece. Well, there's a couple of pieces of news that are coming down the pike. The biggest one, I think, that might affect you and I and everybody is that 7 car makers are going to make a network out of 30,000 EV chargers. So the car makers are getting involved in this now because they want to sell these electric cars. And they realize that part of this experience of selling an electric car is that you have to be able to charge it. So you've seen in recent weeks that a couple of manufacturers have gotten together with Tesla and said that we're going to, that we're going to go with the Tesla charger. Well, 7 of the world's top automakers have also announced a joint venture to build an EV charging network in North America. 30,000 CCS and NACS chargers. They're saying that the chargers should be up and running by the summer of 2024. Let's see who's in on this. BMW, Mercedes, GM, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, and Stellantis looking to put 30,000 high-powered charge points in urban and highway locations to ensure that customers can charge whenever and wherever they need. Summer 2024 is where they say the first ones will open up, and the stations will be accessible to all electric vehicle customers, not just the 7 partners in the joint venture. I mean, everything has to be worked out as far as billing and access and maintenance and so on and so forth. But Ola Kalenius of Mercedes-Benz said what they need now is these machines. They need speed, political, social, and corporate boundaries to accelerate the shift to electric vehicles. Charging is an inseparable part of the EV experience, and this network will be another step to make it as convenient as possible. And it's true. The biggest thing that you run into, the biggest problem that we see with the electric vehicles is the fact that, charging them through all these different networks and people that have gotten involved in this can be a nightmare. If the charger works, maybe it doesn't take your credit card. Maybe the credit card reader is busted. I mean, it can be one big pain, royal pain in the butt to try to charge a car. And hopefully this will make that a seamless endeavor. Again, I don't know all of the logistics to it, and I'm sure that they'll be getting some federal money out of it. It's not clear yet whether car makers will get funding directly from the U.S. National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program, or it's going to be funded by the car makers alone, or a little of each. But AutoWeek is reporting that that they're going to get these things going. This joint venture will work with local governments and public funding to help enable the setup of the network. You have an infrastructure out there already in gas stations, so I'm sure that at some point they're going to have to take a look at that and say that this is probably the way that we should go, is to put these chargers in gas stations and so on and so forth, and get that taken care of. All right, time now for our little weekly auto review.
The Drivetime Radio Road Test. Every week, Vinnie puts another car through its paces and lets you know the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Excuse me, I did not get my my coffee this morning, so I was running a little crazy this morning. So, as I think the whole world was, I think just the whole world was off a little bit this morning. So we were just trying to get everything up for you. So unfortunately, we didn't get the video of what we were trying to do this morning loaded into the machine, but that happens every once in a while. But this morning, we take a look at the Mazda CX-90. And the CX-90 is Mazda's entry into, Mazda's entry into the larger SUV market. It replaces the CX-9, which the CX-90 is bigger, larger, more comfortable in many, many ways. I drove the hybrid boost Skyactiv inline 6 turbo CX-90, that Turbo S, which had 340 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. When you use premium fuel, 319 horsepower on regular fuel. I put premium into this thing, drove it down to Redmond, Oregon to see Willie Nelson and back, and it was a great road car. It looks, it's a little slabby look, and I gotta admit that it's a little less than that fine, refined design that you expect from Mazda. It's a big vehicle, but as far as running and as far as doing a job on the road, as far as getting you where you needed to go, the 340 horsepower that we got from this thing, putting premium fuel into it, took care of hills and mountains and other things that we had to go over to get to Central Oregon. Now, I'm excited to drive the plug-in hybrid of this that has an electric kilowatt motor, 100 kilowatt motor, and a i4 engine that produces 323 horsepower into an 8-speed automatic transmission. But the design on this thing, I mean, Mazda is going up market, and for a 3-row SUV, I thought the highlights were the rear row of this SUV was accessible. It was roomy, and actually you could fit people back there. It wasn't just for children. You could put a couple of people back there somewhat comfortably for a certain amount of time. I wouldn't want to drive across country in that third row, but I wouldn't mind driving across town or, maybe across the state in it. It's not that bad. There was also, with the size of this CX-90, plenty of room behind that third rear seat if you were taking that many people for luggage and things that you're going to carry with you. I would still say that you would probably want the roof rack if you were going to take 7 people or 6 people with you in this thing. You get all the luggage in, but there is a pretty good amount of space back there to store your luggage. It's rated up to 5,000 pounds when you use the MyDrive towing mode.
1
And
minute.
the towing accessories are put in there. And the mileage is decent on this thing. The turbo CX-90 gets 28 on the freeway, 25 combined, 24 in the city. And the way that the engine is laid out gives you a lot of hood. It's got a huge hood, a lot of room inside, and it is comfortable. The materials that are used in this car are top flight. Again, Mazda really trying to impress people with the way the car rides. It doesn't handle as good of a lot of other Mazdas do, but yet you still feel that Mazda pedigree in driving this thing. It's $60,100 was the sticker price on the one that I drove, and of course, it's available at your Mazda dealer. Mazdas are always a top safety pick of the IIHS. That'll wrap up the show today. Thank you so much for listening. We will catch up with you next Saturday morning if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. Have a good one.
All clear.
And if you are on our internet feed, let's see if we can quickly bring up. I don't know why it's doing what it's doing, but it's doing it. And it is, it's really, sometimes I just wonder what I'm missing on here to be able to do this right. I just don't know why it doesn't, for some reason, go where I expect it to go or how I expect it to go. So I'll have to figure that out in the ensuing ensuing time that we have between this show and the next one. I don't know why it doesn't do what I want it to do, but sometimes that's just the way it goes. Let me quickly see if I can somehow do this, and you get to see the dirty part of what goes on here. Let's see. That's not it there. That's not it there. It's here somewhere. I know it's here somewhere. Oh, Lordy. Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. Well, I can't seem to make it work, so I'm going to have to figure this out, but I promise you that by next week, we will get it figured out and see if we can make it work for you, because I am anxious to be able to, give you, well, let's see. Let's try this. Okay, you can hear. All right, you can hear the sound of it, but yet I can't get into. Anyway, this is like watching sausage being made. You shouldn't see it, but we'll get that figured out. And while we're doing that, go check out our internet, our Vinnie. What are you driving this week on the on our Facebook page and posts that I do throughout the week of these different cars that I'm driving. Okay? All right. That'll do it. We will catch up with you next Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. As I said, thank you for listening to the show this morning. We always appreciate it. Thank you to Nathan and to everybody else that helps keep this show running as the fine machine that it always is. All right. You have a good week, and we'll catch up with you next week. All right? You take care. Bye-bye.